Welcome. My name is Dawn Drake, and I'm a professor of geography in the biology department at Missouri Western. And today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about geocaching and how that can be a fun activity for the whole family and can be done relatively cheaply. So, what is geocaching, you might ask? Well, geocaching is the act of finding geocaches. All right, I know that was not helpful at all if you didn't already know what geocaching was. So let's break the word down. Geo is earth. Cache is a collection that's stored in a hidden place. Think of geocaching, before I probably should have started with this, think of geocaching as the precursor to Pokemon Go. It was the basis for the idea of Pokemon Go. Okay. Most geocaches are small containers. They were placed by individual enthusiasts, organizations, businesses, groups around all over the place. Okay? They're usually small waterproof boxes like this one you see here that contain small trinkets, plastic toys, stickers, little coins. Think of it like finding the prize in the box of Cracker Jacks, except the box of Cracker Jacks is a whole lot bigger and you got to navigate to the prize. You can't just dump the box into a bowl and dig around, right? Some of the items that you find in a geocache are trackable. You can put a code in and find out where that item has been, and also you can move it to a new location. And we'll talk more about trackables a little bit later. You'll also usually find a logbook in there for visitors to sign in. It might sometimes include a disposable camera so you can record your visit, and so the person who owns the cache can see everybody who's visited. Caches are going to request that visitors who take a trinket exchange it with another trinket, and that way there's always something in the box for visitors to explore and enjoy. Okay. So where does this idea of geocaching come from? Well, as the activity that we know it today with GPS units, it comes about in the year 2000. At that point, GPS units were becoming more widely available, much more affordable for the average person. And the US military had turned off something called selective availability. Selective availability was the purposeful degradation, scrambling of the GPS signal. So you couldn't get it as accurate as you would like. It wouldn't have been helpful to negotiate to a specific place on the Earth's surface using the GPS prior to that. But in 2000, that's turned off, and suddenly this becomes a much more possible activity. Prior to that, lots of people have been using the same basic concepts. They go out and hunt and seek and search and navigate. And the game that was most closely related to the concepts of geocaching today was something called letterboxing. Today, geocaching is a much more high-tech thing than it was when it was letterboxing. You used GPS units and other items we'll talk about if you don't have a GPS unit, because you don't necessarily need one. And there are geocaches throughout the globe. The first geocache that's known was placed on May 3rd, 2000 in Beaver Creek, Oregon. Here's the plaque that's placed there to commemorate it. And this is a Google Earth image of the area where it was roughly placed. And today we find geocaches. There's millions of them all over the globe. Many of them are very easy to access from a parking lot. You hike in, hike out in short order near a road or a park. But there are others that are much more difficult, that require long treks, kayaking, scuba diving, abseiling. There even was one on the International Space Station from 2008 to 2017. So if I've piqued your interest, then you're probably saying, well, how do I get started? Well, it's really easy. And as I've said, you don't have to own a GPS unit in the modern day of the smartphone. The first step is you want to find out what's nearby to you or wherever it is you want to explore. Okay? When geocaching first started, people would place caches and then they would go on online message boards and they would post the coordinates. And if you wanted to geocache in your area, you had to search through these message boards to find the coordinates. Today, it's much easier. It's been simplified. There's lots of websites and apps out there that centralize all of this information for you. The #1 website for geocaching is geocaching.com. See what that website looks like. They also have an app in the App Store, whether it's Apple, Google, or Amazon is your favorite. You can get their app as well. Okay. If you're a hiker, you might check out your favorite hiking app or your favorite hiking website. Many of them also include trails and links to geocaches. So this is the Rails to Trails Conservancy's Trail Link website, and you can see that I was able to find the geocaching trails here around St. Joseph. So you can look in a lot of different places for this. When you click on one of these geocaches, you're going to see something similar to this. It's going to tell you the name of the cache, who placed it, when it was hidden. It might tell you a little bit about the container, how large it is, what it's made of. It's going to tell you how difficult this is to find on a 5-star system, what the terrain is like from least difficult to traverse to most difficult. There might be some pictures there. Okay. Most importantly, it's going to give you latitude and longitude coordinates. Okay. If you're not familiar with these, latitude coordinates are going to be your north or south coordinates. Here in Missouri, it's going to be your smaller of your 2 numbers. Okay. And then your longitude coordinates are your east and west coordinates. And so you can usually print these or copy and paste them, or if you know how to download them right to your GPS unit, you can do that. There's often a description. This one's a lot less useful. Sometimes it'll tell you what the container looks like, who placed it, what's inside of it, things of that nature. And then the geocaching app, you also see there's attributes over here. It tells you if it's good for kids, if it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or if there are certain hours. Can you go in the winter? Is there parking nearby? Is there food nearby? That can help you plan an activity and plan a day of it. Okay, so you pick out which one you want to go, you find your coordinates, and the next step is going to be to input those coordinates. If you have a GPS unit, there's going to be different ways to do this depending on your GPS unit. Most of them have some kind of navigation, wayfinding skill within them. Some of the newer ones will have an actual geocaching section that will help you with this. You can manually input those coordinates. Sometimes you can download them like you saw there. You can copy and paste them as necessary. Okay, but you don't have to have a GPS unit, right? Smartphones today can be our GPS units. Go to your favorite app store and search for GPS, and you'll find all kinds of free options. My favorite to use as a geographer is GPS Waypoints, but that's currently only available for Android. So keep that in mind. But there's lots of great apps out there. If you're new to this and you're going to have to download an app anyway, you don't own a GPS unit, you might consider going directly to the geocaching apps. There's lots of dedicated geocaching apps for your smartphone, and there you're going to combine those lists of the actual geocaches with the GPS coordinates. And especially if you're not comfortable inputting those coordinates, this can be a great way to start, because often you can just click on the cache you want to find and the app will pull it into the navigation portion for you. And the most popular of those apps is geocaching.com's app. You can see it here, but there are lots of other ones out there as well. All right, so you've decided on where you're going, you've inputted that information, you're ready to go, right? Well, go prepared as you might for any hike. Comfortable shoes, weather appropriate clothing, water and a snack. You may want a trekking post or some kind of long stick, a walking stick. As you get close to the cache, oftentimes these things are buried in leaves or in rotten tree stumps. The walking stick will give you something to poke around with so that you're not digging through the dirt necessarily until you actually find what you're looking for. If you're going to perhaps take something from the box, you want to take a selection of trinkets with you that you can replace. And also, you may want to take a writing implement with you. There usually is something in the cache for you to write in the logbook, but we know that sometimes people forget to leave the pen or pencil. Sometimes the pen goes dry. So if you have your own, then you'll be able to write in the logbook. Okay. The first rule of geocaching is leave no trace. Okay. Stay on marked paths whenever possible. Oftentimes caches will be a few feet off a marked path, so it's not going to be possible as you get close. But as you get off the marked path, do not trample sensitive environments. Definitely do not litter. Most geocachers will tell you that geocaching is an activity that actually lends itself to you picking up other people's litter, and they encourage that. Okay? So off you go. Now those coordinates that you've inputted into your GPS unit will take you in the general direction, but it is not Google Maps. It is not going to take you on the shortest or most direct path. That is up to you to figure out. This is where the learning about this comes in. You're going to start looking at your terrain and your surroundings, and you're going to know, I need to go in that general direction. What's the best path? And not just what's the fastest path, it may not be the fastest path, but what is the path that will do the least damage, okay? So if you have a choice of going across an open field or through a thicket of bushes, you're gonna wanna go across that open field, even if it's a longer path, because you don't wanna break the branches and the bushes. And also you don't wanna get hurt. You want this to be a safe activity. Okay, so this is where you start to learn about navigation. You get to sort of figure out what's going on around you and understand the landscape and how to be safe in the landscape. Okay, once you get close to the cache, within about 100 feet, 30 meters or so, you want to start looking at your compass, figuring out which direction you're supposed to look in and start looking. The cache is probably never going to be just really obvious laying on the surface of the earth. It's going to be hidden under leaves, in a tree stump, something like that. It can take some time to locate the actual cache. Look for areas that have been disturbed. Look for areas that look unnatural or something looks out of place. And keep in mind the size of the container you're looking for and the material of the container if you do happen to know that. Okay. Once you've located the cache, step away from the immediate area. There's two reasons for that. If other people are in the area are geocaching, you don't want to tell them exactly where you found it. Secondly, there are other people in the area and you don't maybe necessarily want to alert them that the cache is there and have the cache become victim to somebody stealing it or something of that nature. Okay, so step away from the immediate area. Examine the contents. You want to sign the logbook, so you can see there's a logbook and a pencil in here. Look at the contents. Sometimes there's other things in there besides the trinkets. Sometimes people will leave notes, postcards. There might be a little story. You might want to look at the logbook, who's been there before. Okay. Take one of the trinkets in the cache if you want to, but only if you have something of equal value to return to it. You may also find trackable items. So in here, you can see there's a travel bug in here. Trackable items take a variety of shapes and sizes. It wouldn't surprise me if this item was trackable too. Look for a tracker ID on the item and also a website that tells you what tracking company it is. Be aware that if you take one of the trackable items, there's an unwritten agreement that you're saying, I'm going to place this trackable item in some other cache. I'm going to keep moving it along. I'm not going to take it home and have it just stay in my dresser. And occasionally, some of these caches have specific paths, or I'm sorry, some of these trackables have specific paths that they're on, that there's a cache nearby that the owner wants it deposited in. You can find that all out by going on the website of the trackable device. Okay, so the one in the example there is Travel Bug, which happens to be geocaching.com's company. You'd put the number in here and you would get the log. You'd be able to see where all it's been. maybe decide where you want to take it, see if it has a place already, and who's signed into it. Okay. Once you're done, put everything back in the cache carefully in the container, close and seal the container, and return it to its location. Do not make it any easier or harder to find, just return it exactly as you found it. If you are keeping track of the geocaches you find, be sure that you log it in your app or website as soon as possible. Okay? Geocaching can be a fun activity for the whole family. It's great for kids, they love the trinkets, but it's great for learning about the world around you, nature, the environment. Great to improve your navigation skills, learn north, south, east, and west using the compass. It's great for larger kids, smaller kids. It's an activity where you can take the pets along. And in this time of pandemic, it's a naturally socially distanced activity. So grab your masks in case you encounter other people, hand sanitize before you touch the cache and after you're finished with the cache. But most importantly, have fun with this. So the last thing I want to show you is a short video from REI. And many of you know REI as a store that does a lot of outdoor experience outfitting. They're very into geocaching. They have a lot of great resources on their website. And this is just one of the videos they've posted to YouTube. Hopefully you're going to be able to hear it using the sound that I have in the room I'm recording. If not, just search YouTube for REI Introduction to Geocaching and you'll be able to find it.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm an instructor with the REI Outdoor School. Today, we've been searching for a geocache. We're very close right now, according to my GPS. So I'm going to go and find it, and I'm going to show you some of the etiquette and rules that go with finding a geocache. Okay, I found the geocache. It's hidden away in an area just off trail where passerbys who aren't involved in geocaching won't see it, won't be bothered by it. It's hidden in a way that it doesn't disturb the environment. I have an area that I can look for it and stand without doing any harm to the surrounding terrain. The geocache itself is camouflaged to blend in with the surroundings. Again, this makes it less likely to alarm people who aren't involved with geocaching, and it fits in with the area. I'm going to bring it away from the hiding area so I can go ahead and look at it without exposing the hiding spot to anyone who's not involved in the game. When finding a geocache, it's considered good etiquette to go ahead and sign your name in the log to tell people that you found the geocache. This just says you were there, gives the owner a record of who's been there, and later on you should go online to the website and indicate in a log on the site you found it as well. This leaves a permanent record so the entire world knows what's going on with that cache. Inside the cache, we'll find all sorts of unusual objects. These kind of items are the thing that appeals to kids when they're geocaching. It lends itself more towards broken McDonald's toys than anything of great value, but to a 6-year-old, this is treasure out in the woods. The etiquette with the geocache is that if you take something out of the cache, you're going to put something back in of equal or greater value. You want to leave the cache better than you found it. In addition to trade items like toys in the geocache, there may be an item called a travel bug. A travel bug is different from a trade item in that you don't trade for it, but you are permitted to take it as long as you agree to put it in another cache somewhere else. You then log the travel bug number online, and this would tell the owner that it's moved, and they can trace its travels around the world. Travel bugs can travel thousands and thousands of miles around the world, giving the owner a virtual experience of the places that it visits. Once I'm finished with the trades, I'll pack everything back in very carefully. I'll seal the cache the same way that I found it. And it's very important then to put the cache back exactly as I found it. I don't want to try and hide it in a way that's better or more complicated than when it started. That might change the nature of the hide into a way that was not expected. Now that the cache is found, I can log my find and go spend some more time in the park, see what else is out there.
So hopefully you've learned something today. And you found an activity that you can try with a family that can be done relatively cheaply and easily and is great, especially right now where there's so many activities we can't do. If you have any questions, if you have any other interest in activities you can do with geography, please get in touch with me. I'm in the biology department at Missouri Western. Again, my name is Dawn Drake. Thanks.